Welcome to the Skip and Shannon Undisputed podcast. I'm Joy Taylor. You can catch us Monday through Friday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern, 6:30 Pacific on FS1. Here's what this podcast is all about. It's an unscripted, unfiltered, undisputed version of the day's show, and there is a lot to get into in today's podcast. Skip calls on Jerry Jones to do the right thing by Cowboys Nation and trade Tony Romo. Shannon believes the 4.22 40-yard dash time by John Ross at the NFL Combine will bring in the cash as Skip and Shannon debate all the news out of the NFL Combine. It's on as the debate between Kawhi Leonard and LeBron James gets heated. As you guessed it, Skip takes Kawhi and Shannon is with the king. Pro Football Hall of Famer Chris Carter shares about his personal relationship with Brandon Marshall and if he would be a good fit in New England catching balls from number 12. Plus, host of In the Zone podcast and Fox Sports NBA analyst Chris Broussard checks in to add perspective on the NBA MVP debate after Mark Cuban's latest comments. Skip and Shannon, I missed you guys on Friday.
How are you doing today, Skip?
How are you, Shannon?
I'm great.
I missed you over the weekend, man. We didn't have a show on Friday, and
No, it was too long, right?
I was daydreaming watching the 40-yard dashes on, what was it, Saturday? And I was
For
thinking,
what?
I was thinking Shannon versus Jason Witten as a little sideshow to the Combine. Why didn't we see it?
You know what, Skip? That's not good enough. I'm going to bring Antonio Gates, too.
Oh,
I'm going to beat two.
Beat both of them at once?
Future Hall of Famers in one shot.
I would pay to see that.
I would too. Do you get like a 15-yard head start?
Don't need it. Joy, I know you're not going to sit there and say in a 40-yard dash, those two guys can beat me, even at the ripe old age of 49.
I don't know if you have that good first step still, but we're gonna find out one day. Let's get it started with the NFL Combine. Former University of Washington wide receiver John Ross set a record at the Combine by running a 4.22 40. He beat the previous record set by Chris Johnson in 2008. Flying. Shannon, how impressed were you by Ross's run?
Skip.
Shannon.
You know what he did, Skip? He told all 32 teams, cash me outside. How about that?
Really?
Skip, when you run 4.4, you'll grab people's attention. Mm-hmm. You run 4.3, people like, woo! Mm-hmm. You run 4.22, you have everybody undivided attention because now it's going to force people to go back and look at your tape. Now, if you go back and look at his numbers, Skip, 2014, he had 17 receptions, 371, 4 touchdowns. That's his sophomore season. He tears his ACL in the spring of 2015, so he misses that entire season. Okay. He comes back this past season. He goes for 81 catches, 1150, 17 touchdowns. I only watched him twice, so I want to preface this. I only watched him against Colorado in the Pac-12 game and against Alabama. Skip, I thought he was a low 4.4 guy. Skip, I didn't see this. I did not see 4.22. And it's the same thing with Chris Johnson. They thought Chris Johnson was good, but when he jumps out and runs 4.24, now we got to go back and evaluate the tape. What did we miss? Because did he really play this fast? Because normally when someone has this kind of speed, he only averages like 14 yards a catch, Skip. Normally with this kind of speed, that's 20, that's 21, 22 yards per catch. And so now I got to reevaluate. I look at speed and rage in the same category. Uncontrolled speed and rage is no good. If it's controlled, it's great. I would have loved to see him not cramp up and be able to run an out, be able to run a dig, to run a slant, because I know he has great inline speed.
That was convenient. He cramped up. You just got that one big burst glimpse, right?
Skip, with that, look here. If I'd have ran 4.4, I'd have pulled every muscle in my body. So I'm not surprised that he cramped up. Skip, you don't understand what this is, Skip. This is Usain Bolt. This is world class.
Not Usain Bolt.
No. Listen, because here's the advantage. That Usain Bolt is both hands down, and he's coming out of starting blocks. This guy is one hand down and no starting block. So that's all. If he had starting blocks, Skip, this dude's running under 4. He's running 4.1 something, like 4.09, maybe 4.10. But Skip, this is going to force the scouts to go back and say, what did I miss? Because I don't believe when they look at the tape, he played as fast as he ran on Saturday.
So does this mean you would take him in the upper echelon of the first round? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, he's going to be a first-round pick, Skip.
How high? Top half of the first round?
He probably coming in the draft, he probably had a third-round grade on him, Skip. He's going in the first round now. I can't teach somebody to run this fast. I can teach you how to run a route. I can't teach you to run 4.22.
My bottom line, after what I witnessed on Saturday, was I would still not take John Ross in the first round. I don't see enough when I watched him actually play football. And to me, and I said this last week to you, the combine has degenerated into this laughable sort of track meet in which you win the track meet. And I'm to the point where I wish the NFL would now have an off-season competition where every team got to send 5 guys to represent them as a track team. We could have an Olympics of all the NFL teams because...
Kind of like the superstars or something.
Yeah, superstars, because John Ross, if you had him on your roster, he'd probably help you win the gold in the track meet, right? This has become laughable to me that the internet explodes into, oh my God, over 40 times that have me sit back and say, Lord, have mercy. Because I'm going to remind you, Emmitt Smith ran 4.6 in the 40, and because of that, he fell some in the draft. I think he turned out pretty well because he had football speed. With the ball under his arm, you couldn't catch him. Jerry Rice ran 4.6 in the 40, and it cost him some slots in the first round of the draft. And I think he turned out okay in the National Football League because you couldn't catch him with a football under his arm. And for that matter, if we could just see for a quick flashback the ugliest 40 in the history of the Combine, run by one Tom Brady. We don't have it. I'm sorry. I thought we had this. But it was 5.28. Think about that. 5.28. And Tom Brady obviously doesn't play receiver or have to run with the football, but he turned into merely the greatest football player in the history of the league. So let's go back to until Saturday. Remember Dree Archer out of Kent State? Yep. He had the second fastest 40 in history, which prompted, that was what, 4.26, which prompted your Steelers to overreact and take him in the third round. They took Dree Archer in the third round, and he busted. And then he busted with the Jets, and something's going on with Buffalo. He didn't even report. He's out of the league right now. Dree Archer, 4.26, should be on somebody's track team, but not on anybody's football team. So now we get back to John Ross. I think he's going to be pretty good in the National Football League, but I don't think he's going to set it on fire because I also watched Colorado, and I watched against St. Nick's defense. He disappeared. He had 5 catches for a mere 28 yards, long of 9 yards, and they crushed him on one play, and he lost a big fumble. It was a turning point in the game.
And he didn't come back?
Okay. All right. Okay, so are we sure about that? He's listed at 5'11", 190. He's right in that ballpark. But really, are you sure that Mike Williams wouldn't be better in the NFL? Because I saw Mike Williams against St. Nick's defense. Right. I saw him go big time because he can sky for the football. And what do you have, 8 catches for 94 yards in the championship game at 6'4", 218. I'll go with that over this speed. I'll just go with the guy who can get open.
Well, the thing is, they want to see Mike Williams, how well he runs at his pro day, because they say he's great in the crowd.
He didn't run.
He's always in a crowd because he's not separating. So that's going to concern some scouts.
I got it. All right.
Well, hopefully scouts will get to see more of John Ross. Washington's pro day is March 11th. Obviously, his day was cut short because of the cramps. Next up, former Texas A&M defensive end Myles Garrett is projected as the #1 overall pick in the draft. He ran a 4.64 40 and had the best vertical jump of any defensive lineman at the Combine. An NFL exec said Garrett looks, quote, like a job saver. Shannon, how impressed were you with Garrett?
Skip, you look at him. He's 6'4.5", 270 plus. He ran 4.64, 41-inch vertical, 10.8 standing long jump, 163, 10 yards. Skip, but when I see this, I don't see it on tape. I expected to see Ndamukong Suh. I expected to see a Warren Sapp, a Reggie White, a Bruce Smith. And when you watch the tape, Skip, you don't see that on this kid. You watch him this year, 8.5 sacks. 4.5 of those came against UT San Antonio.
You got it.
He had no sacks against Alabama. He has 1 sack in 3 games against Alabama. Now, here's the thing that scouts are going to have to ask themselves. Did he do what Jadeveon Clowney did? Protect himself. Because he felt if he can end the season healthy, he's going to be the #1 pick in the draft. But a guy this size that can run as fast as he can, that's explosive. Because, you see it on tape. You see it sometimes, Skip. He'll jump out at you. He's explosive. You have a 41-inch vertical, you're explosive. 10.8 long jump, you're very, very explosive. 4.6 40 at 272 pounds. That's faster than Gronk, Jarvis Landry, and Devontae Freeman. Skip, he has... Let me ask you a question, Skip, and then I'm going to let you take it from here. Is he going to be more Mario Williams or more Bruce Smith? Because Mario Williams played as 11 years, has 90 and a half sacks. So is he going to be more Mario Williams or is he going to be more Bruce Smith? Because when you watch his tape, Skip, he's not dominant, nearly as dominant as he needs to be.
I'm not even sure at this point he's Mario Williams. From what I've seen, and again, I just watch TV, I don't watch tape, but I look for somebody to flash for me, to jump out of my TV screen and make me say, wow, I haven't seen that. Joey Bosa caught my eye every time I turned on the TV and watched his Ohio State team play, because two guys could not block Joey Bosa, and he lived up to that this year. He was the defensive rookie of the year.
Yes, he was.
And every time I turned on a Myles Garrett A&M game, I couldn't see enough Myles Garrett. So I'm completely with you, because you list all the sack totals. They came against inferior opposition.
Yeah, 2 against Auburn, 1 against UCLA.
Yeah, so his highs in the SEC, he had 2 against South Carolina and 2 against Auburn. That's it. Period. End of story. So against Laramie Tunsil and Ole Miss, he got shut out. And against Cam Robinson this year, and I have a lot of respect for Cam. I think he's going to be really good at the next level. He got shut out. I don't know. Are you sure he's going to save your job, Cleveland? I'm sorry. I'm not seeing it yet. But the measurables, this is even more impressive as a package of measurables than John Ross. Yeah. The 40. I'll take all these over John Ross's 40-yard.
But when you watch Ndamukong Suh at Nebraska, he jumped off. He whipped everybody. He moved up and down the line. He would line up at 3 tech.
It was awesome to watch.
And then you saw him in the bowl in the championship game against Texas.
Yes.
And you say, this guy should be the number 1 pick in the draft. And if you watched him the entire season, this dude is special. Skip, I don't see that with him. Now, he might, like I said, he might have been like, hey, I'm cruising. If I can just finish the season on my feet, I'm going to be the number 1 draft pick. But with these measurables, as fast as he can run, Skip, he did 33 reps in the bench.
That's spectacular.
So not only is he fast, not only is he strong and explosive, he has the complete package. You don't say, well, I wish he was a tick faster. Great first step, great explosion. But Skip, with these kind of measurables, Skip, his nickname should have been Graveyard, because when he left the field, there should be bodies everywhere.
Yeah, right.
And I don't see it.
Yeah, there's something that's not adding up. He's obviously incredibly athletic, though. Might take a little bit more than that to save the Browns. Next up, former Clemson quarterback Deshaun Watson impressed at the Combine during an hour-long session with the wide receivers. Chiefs coach Andy Reid said Watson was, quote, unbelievable, and every throw was on the money. Shannon, how impressed were you with Watson?
Look, I don't even know what, Skip, for me. Why do they have the quarterbacks run the 40? Vertical jump, standing long jump, 3 cone. Skip, I don't care about that.
It's track meet.
Let me see his 3, his 5, and his 7-step drop. Let me see him roll to his left and right and throw the ball. Can he change arm angles? Can he throw it over the top release? Can he go sidearm, 3/4? Let me see that. So if he has a 40-inch vertical, do you plan on throwing him in passes and have him jump over somebody? No. So I don't care that he ran 4.6 or whatever he ran, and well, somebody ran even. I don't care. Because all I need to know, when I watch his tape, I watched him against Alabama twice. I watched him in big games. He got the job done.
You saw him against the Heisman Trophy winner this year, right?
I saw him. So with that being said, let me see how he does on the speed out. Let me see him throw the hit, the slant, the over. Let me see all that, Skip. That tells me more about this. How about this, Skip? Over the last 10 years, there have been 8 different quarterbacks that won the Super Bowl. The average 40 time, guess what it was, Skip? 4.84. Tom Brady ran 5.2. Peyton ran a 4.8. Skip, what good is that? Can you throw the ball? That's what I need to know. Can you throw the out? Does he have a cannon? No. But he can get it. Can he get it up and down? Absolutely. That's all I need to know. He checked everything for me. I didn't need to know whether he fast. I didn't need to know whether he was explosive. I just needed to know, can he make the throws when I see him up close and personal that he made on tape when I watched him every single Saturday? He checks out for me. Okay.
I loved Deshaun before the Combine, and I love him just as much after the Combine. And I get you, no cannon. His 40 time was just okay, nothing special, but I don't care about that.
Right.
Because all I know is that when the money was on the table, I know it's just college football, but the bigger the game, the later the game, the better he was.
Absolutely.
I saw mental and I saw physical toughness twice in national championship games against the best defense in college football. I saw him throw for 405 a year ago in the championship game and run for 73 more against St. Nick's defense in the narrow loss.
Yep.
This year I saw 420 passing with 43 rushing. That's a grand total against St. Nick's defense of 941 yards in 2 games with 8 touchdowns and 1 interception.
With all the marbles on the table.
I'll take it. All the marbles are on the table. Because even when I watched him throw with all the other kids who were throwing the other day on, was it Saturday? I think it was. That I watched it all weekend. It's all a blur to me. But now I look back and I think, his poise and his body language, even in the throwing drills, it made him stand out as the leader of that pack. It looked like he was the one who was taking over and taking charge. So I talked to a longtime quarterback coach I have a lot of respect for last night, and he said, hey, Jameis or Mariota would be far and away the number one in this draft.
Yes.
I get that. But if I'm the Cleveland Browns, I would do this. I would take Deshaun number 1, and I wouldn't look back because I think he can win a whole lot of football games at the next level.
I just don't get what having a guy throw with no helmet and no shoulder pads on,
I don't know.
what purpose does it serve? Because he'll never throw like that in the game.
No.
When we went 7-on-7 and every throwing drill that we had when I was at Denver, John always wore shoulder pads because he figured I'm going to have my pads on during the game.
Good for him.
Well, yeah, you better.
Yeah, so he in a T-shirt. Oh, man, you see him.
Maybe they just want to see their physique, see if they're in shape or not. But you have called Deshaun Watson the most clutch player in college football and the best playmaker. So it's
He
like
just said that because he beat St. Nick.
living up to it.
There's always something.
Just beat St. Nick? I mean,
Nick?
isn't that like the Valhalla of beating somebody?
I mean, if you got to beat somebody, you might as well let it be safe.
Might as well, yeah.
Next up, former LSU running back Leonard Fournette weighed in at 240 pounds at the Combine, the heaviest for any running back. Fournette attributed 5 of those pounds to water weight. Fournette still ran a 4.51 in the 40. Shannon, how impressed were you with Fournette?
I was impressed. I think he should be somewhere around 230. I think he can get away with 230, 232, 233, something like that, Skip, because you have to realize he's 20-something now. So what's that weight going to be at 25, at 26? So that's a little concerning. But, Skip, it's hard for Leonard Fournette to impress anybody because you look at what he did his freshman year, his sophomore year, he was nicked a little bit this year, and so everybody's trying to pick him apart. When I look at him on tape, is he fast? I think he's faster than I thought he was. He's explosive. He's run with great pad level. First of all, you're not going to be throwing him the ball out there. Well, he doesn't look like a natural catching the ball. Very few big backs that's 240 look naturally catching the ball. Did you throw the swing? Did they throw Jerome Bettis? Go downfield and catch this ball for me. He's a traditional I back. Line him up at 9 yards deep, 8 yards, 9 yards deep, Skip. Put a fullback in front of him, toss him, or hand him the ball. That's what he is. He ran 4.51. I think he's faster than they thought he would be, especially at his size.
Yep.
I'm impressed. He played in the SEC, and with the exception of Alabama, he dominated. And I think he didn't dominate Alabama because I think overall, Alabama's D-line, you look at all their D-linemen, they're playing the National Football League. I don't know how many of those LSU offensive linemen are currently playing in the National Football League. Mm-hmm. But we know in his 3 years, just about every last one of those defensive linemen he faced are playing on Sunday. I was impressed with him, and he had the most to lose because he was the most highly touted back. And so they thought he'd probably run 4.6, but he ran 4.51 at 240. Okay, check. He good to go.
I'll give you this. 4.51 at 240 was astonishing to me. I didn't see that coming.
I didn't think he was that fast either on tape, Skip. I thought he was 4.6.
I still like Leonard Fournette, but I have fallen out of love with him. I used to be in love starting his freshman year.
Yeah.
Les Miles would tell me this guy's Jordan-esque, and I'm not seeing Jordan-esque. He's talking about his work ethic and his intangibles. But once I watched 19 for 31 against Bama in Tuscaloosa a year ago, and then this year 17 for 35, it's just not good enough when I'm watching him against the best defense not be able to get untracked. You know and I know that at the next level, you cannot just routinely bully an NFL defense. You can't just run over linebacker after tackle after linebacker. You just can't do it. Ezekiel Elliott has some make you miss, right? He's got that jump cut make you miss.
Yeah, but Skip, when Zeke went for 235 against Alabama, he wasn't getting hit 5 yards in the backfield like Leonard Fournette is. Leonard Fournette had no freedom. There was not one time he made it to the line of scrimmage without contact.
I will give you that, but that LSU, that roster's loaded too with a lot of pro potential. But
skill positions.
Okay. But Dalvin Cook has some make you miss. He's got some of this sideways stuff. Joe Mixon, who's probably still going to get drafted in the top 3 rounds, okay, despite all we talked about last week. He's got make you miss.
Yes.
This guy has no make you miss. He can line up, and once he gets rolling straight ahead, he can flat out fly at 240. But I'm just not sure he's that guy at the next level. I still might take him at the bottom of the first round, but I just don't know if he's going to change your life the way Ezekiel changed life in Dallas.
I know a guy that has some of these same question marks. He wasn't a guy that can make you miss. He took a lot of contact in college.
Adrian Peterson.
AP did okay. He had an okay career. I'm not saying he's going to be okay, Adrian Peterson, because Adrian Peterson was an MVP, and we know what he's been able to accomplish. But Skip, you got all of these guys need to go to the right system. He's not a split back running back. Don't try to use him like you can use LaShawn McCoy or Le'Veon Bell. That's not what he is. He is a traditional I back.
Okay.
Put the fullback in front of him, toss him, or hand him the football, and he can be effective. Now, if you try to use him any other way, you're going to say, well, Leonard Fournette's a bust, and he's not a bust. You just don't know how to use him.
I got it. But I'm with you to get back to your first point. When you come to the combine, maybe 8 or 10 pounds heavy, and say, I drank too much water, I'm sorry, it's a red flag to me. I'm not sure about him controlling his weight going forward.
Yeah.
Now, that's why I said he needs to be lighter, because as you get older, you get heavier. Very few guys lighten up as they get older in age.
Well, if he's in the right system, they'll take care of his diet too. And we'll see more from him on April 5th for LSU's Pro Day.
No mercy.
Thanks for listening, guys. Before we get to the next topic, here's Shannon with a message from ZipRecruiter.
Thanks, Joy. Hiring can be a real pain, and it can be difficult to know where to post your job and to find the best candidates. If you want to find the perfect hire, you need to post your job on all the top job sites, and now you can with ZipRecruiter.com. You can post your positions to over 200 job sites, including social media networks like Facebook and Twitter, all with a single click. It's that easy. Find candidates in any city or industry nationwide. Just post once and watch your qualified candidates roll into ZipRecruiter's easy-to-use interface. No juggling emails or calls to your office. Nobody has time for that. Quickly screen candidates, rate them, and hire them fast and in person. Find out today why ZipRecruiter has been used by the most powerful companies and thousands of small and medium-sized businesses. Right now, listeners of our podcast can post jobs on ZipRecruiter for free by going to ZipRecruiter.com/undisputed. That's ZipRecruiter.com/undisputed.
Thanks. One more time, our listeners can try it for free by going to ZipRecruiter.com/undisputed. Now back to the show.
No mercy.
The Big East tournament is just 2 days away. Defending national champion Villanova takes on a loaded field live from Madison Square Garden. The Big East tournament starting Wednesday right here on FS1. Timberwolves guard Ricky Rubio said Kawhi Leonard is the second most dominant player in the NBA behind LeBron James. The Spurs beat the Timberwolves in overtime on Saturday. Kawhi had a game-high 34 points with 10 rebounds and 6 steals in the win. Skip, do you agree with Rubio that LeBron is 1 and Kawhi is 2?
I do not.
Oh, whoa,
I do
Skip.
not. Shannon, I hate to break this news to you so early on a Monday morning, but I want you to fasten your seatbelt over there in that seat, because
I'm in.
right now, Kawhi Leonard at age 25 has become a little more dominant than LeBron James is at age 32. And I can back this up all day and all night if you want to sit here for all day and all night, because I watch every Kawhi game, and trust me, I never miss any LeBron games.
They must see.
So this is what I see. Kawhi doesn't have a Kyrie Irving. Did you happen to, you said you might go to the game, you went home to Atlanta, but again, LeBron and company were at Atlanta.
I saw it.
Did you see what Kyrie did? He scored 43. He's now averaging 25 a game. He is the closer for the Cavaliers. Did you see that?
Did you see what LeBron did? He had 38, 13 and 8.
It's pretty easy when you have Kyrie Irving riding shotgun, and you got all that help at the trade deadline, starting with Kyle Korver. I don't know how he got out of Atlanta for nothing. They stole him from the Hawks, and he went home and shot the Hawks right in the heart, right? Yeah, Adam Silver did it. So Kawhi Leonard is not only now the Spurs closer, but he has become the best closer in pro basketball. Kawhi Leonard is now the lone superstar on my San Antonio Spurs, obviously with Tim Duncan retired. Manu Ginobili is now 39 years of age, and poor Tony Parker is fighting age and attrition after 16 NBA. He's in his 16th NBA season.
Both have been all-star players.
So,
go ahead.
Yep, and Kawhi is it for the Spurs. Yet he has led the Spurs to a record that is 6 games better than LeBron's team. That's unbelievable. 6 games better. And wait a second. Kawhi has led the San Antonio Spurs to the best road record in the entire NBA at 27-7. And the shocker to me is that LeBron's team, with LeBron, the MVP, running the show, they're only 16-13 on the road. How do you figure that? That's just barely above 500 on the road. 27-7 versus 16-13.
How many games have LeBron missed while they were on the road?
I don't know. It couldn't be that many.
4.
4. Okay. All right. So I'll give you 4 more, and you're still behind 27-7.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. So here's what just happened, because I watch every Spurs game. The Spurs, by their lofty standards, just played 3 pretty sorry games. And guess what happened every night in the last 5 minutes? Kawhi Leonard basically said, y'all get out of my way, and I'm going to take this game over. I'm going to do it by stealing the ball. I'm going to do it by dunking. I'm going to do it by making clutch free throws. And I'm definitely going to do it by making big clutch buckets down the stretch. That's all he does, because over the last 2 years, in shots to win games in the last 5 seconds, go-ahead shots, Kawhi Leonard is 3 out of 5, which leads the NBA. So here we are, with a Kawhi Leonard who obviously beat Indiana with the last-second shot on the night that we talked about. LeBron passed up a last-second shot and passed it over to the corner to a poor Darren Williams who was slumping from 3. Wait a second.
Skip, I don't mean
Kawhi doesn't do that.
Skip,
he just doesn't do that.
I don't mean to interrupt you, and I apologize. So
yeah, I'm
please
just piling it on here because, by the way, let me finish with one last point.
Okay.
Kawhi Leonard is a 90% free throw shooter, and if it's clutch time, he will make his free throws. I know he missed one in Game 6. That was many moons ago when he was just a baby. He was just a baby. But now he's a 25-year-old man now.
George,
he is a man.
You saw what he did, George?
Yeah, he missed one, but it was ages ago. It was back in, what was it, 2013. It was like 5 years ago.
Okay. I'm glad you did that, Skip.
Okay.
So moving forward.
He was 21 at the time.
Don't you ever bring up 2011 and LeBron James again.
90% free throw shooter is Kawhi Leonard, while LeBron James is a career worst 68.5. You want LeBron at the line late in games? Okay. I'm sorry, I don't.
Okay, you tried to stall me out. Now it's my turn to go.
Stall you out?
He's trying to. Okay,
I just made my case.
Skip, here's the thing. This is what I want to know. When you hear all the GMs talk, you hear all the coaches talk, you hear half or 3/4 of the players talk, they say LeBron James' name is the first name come out of their mouth. So what do you know that general managers, coaches,
I
and players
actually watch
don't know?
the Spurs.
Okay, how about
they
this?
They don't watch. They think they're boring.
Okay, they're basically a wash in scoring. Kawhi is 26.1, LeBron is 26. Rebounding, Kawhi is 6.0, lowest since his rookie season. LeBron is 8.0. Kawhi is averaging 3.4 assists. LeBron is averaging 9. From the field.
He's a great point guard. He's a great point guard.
Skip,
I was the best passer in basketball.
Skip, I
give you that.
Skip, I didn't interrupt you. Joey, can you ask Skip not to interrupt me?
I'm applauding your point.
I don't want you to applaud.
I'm applauding.
I don't want you to applaud.
I'm saying thank you for making that point.
No, I'm not going to say it. Okay, Kawhi is 48.4 field goal percentage this year. LeBron is 54.
Yeah, he plays
From 3.
inside.
Whoa, Skip. You talk about LeBron James. Kawhi Leonard is a 37.8 three-point shooter this year. LeBron James is 39.8. So the only advantage that Kawhi have currently is his free throw. And I'll give you that. 90 is very good. LeBron, he's ticking me out missing all these free throws too. But I love him so much.
Well, he always does that.
Well,
He shouldn't tick you off. He's been ticking you off for 14 years then. Go ahead.
Thank you. Now, he has surpassed LeBron as the best two-way player, because LeBron can't exert that energy. So once he went back to Cleveland, he realized that he was going to be needed. He was needing more scoring consistently. So he can't go out there night in and night out. But you know what LeBron used to be when he was that age. He was the de facto best two-way player. So up until probably year 12, LeBron was the best two-way player in basketball. Now he's not the same two-way player, but he's still Ask any general manager, even R.C. Buford.
You better not ask him.
Ask anybody.
Yeah, I wouldn't ask him. You might get the wrong answer from him.
Everybody is taking LeBron James because you know. Well, I tell you what. When Kawhi Leonard takes his team to 6 straight finals, call me. Hold up. When was the last time you've been to the finals?
Joy, what was the question? It's right now, right? Right now? Are we doing it
LeBron is
right
number
now?
1 and Kawhi is number
Yeah,
2. Do you
okay.
agree?
LeBron is number 1.
Now, we're not talking about resume or Mount Rushmore credentials.
LeBron's number
Talking
1,
about
number
right
no,
now.
LeBron's number 1. I don't care who's number 2.
I'm glad you made your final point because I saved it for last just to drive that nail into your coffin here. But the point is that I think the best all-around defender in all of basketball has become Kawhi Leonard. I'm watching him at New Orleans the other night. For a while, he'd take Boogie Cousins. For a while, when Drew Holiday got hot, they said, hey, take him out of the game. He just takes him out of the game.
Hold on, take Boogie Cousins what?
Guard him. He guarded him.
Okay, you know
But
what,
he's
Skip?
strong and
I
he's
didn't want
long.
to do, you know what, Joe? I hate bringing up old stuff, but there's something the NBA puts out. It's called Last 2-Minute Report. Isn't that what it's called, the LTR? And they said on that last second shot against Indiana Pacers, Kawhi Leonard traveled. A traveling call should Skip. I don't want you to.
I brought it up that day.
You didn't bring it up.
I said he shuffled his feet.
No. You didn't say nothing. You said no such thing.
It was out there.
No, Skip.
You're way late with this.
Skip, no.
And he didn't shuffle. I've looked at it 1,000 times. He didn't shuffle his feet.
Hold on, Skip.
He didn't shuffle.
Skip.
Nobody's going to call that.
Skip.
Nobody's going to call it. Nobody's going to call it in the NBA.
Joe, you see what he do? He trying to stall me out. You trying to debo me, Skip.
I mean, you're making an argument for LeBron and talking about traveling.
Yeah.
Skip.
Thank you.
Hold on. But you remember on Christmas when you said Richard Jefferson filed KD and you said the last 2-minute report. That's what you said. You showed it to me.
I did.
And you had him keep running on loop and loop. This is a foul. This is a foul.
No, LeBron hung on the rim.
No.
It's a technical.
No, you said.
It's a technical.
You said.
It's for anybody in the NBA.
You
It's a
said
technical.
Because Kevin Durant couldn't get the shot off, you said Richard Jefferson. The word you used is bodied him.
He did.
And then he tripped
It was a foul. It was a double foul.
Hold on.
You should have gotten 2 persons.
The last
for that.
2-minute report said Richard Jefferson fouled him. The last 2-minute report said Kawhi Leonard traveled.
He didn't travel. I'm sorry, I just couldn't see it.
All I know is the guy, the king of Akron, will be playing in the finals. Will your guy be?
You better hope my guy is not in it
First of all-
because my guy always nullifies LeBron James. The X factor that LeBron cannot deal with is
not in 2013.
Kawhi Leonard.
But not in 2013. No.
Not in 2013. He was guarding LeBron down the stretch when LeBron turned it over 3 times, shockingly, uncharacteristically in the last 3 minutes.
What about those 18 points he scored on Kawhi in the fourth quarter?
Yeah, what about the last 5 minutes? Go check it out. Show me what LeBron did. Show me what he
down
did.
10.
Whew.
Down 10, Skip.
Yeah.
Down 10. So, but guess what, Skip? He shoots a high field goal percentage, shoots a better from 3. LeBron can't shoot 3. He's the worst player. All I know, LeBron shooting 40% from 3.
Yep. You know what?
6 to 10.
He's been on a rare hot streak lately, and it's going to kill you in the playoffs because he's going to fall in love with the 3, which is his Achilles heel in the playoffs.
Joe, I was
what
watching.
happens.
They show the NBA
Just
record
watch what
25
happens.
threes. LeBron came down
I'll be loving it when he pulls up in the playoffs.
from Camden Road,
Trying one.
from Polola Road,
Trying
from
one.
Stewart Ave.
Oh, I missed
from
another
Metro.
one. And what happened in
He
that
hit
game
one from the
6?
bluff.
Help me out. The last 3 that he took in regulation of game 6, what did it do? It clanged so hard off the back iron, it bounded clear out past the free throw line. Bosch tracks it down, whips
Bosch
it.
wasn't past no free throw line. He was right there close to the basket.
It was a LeBrick.
Okay, what about those 3 threes he did hit, though? Are you going to mention those?
All that matters is what happens in the end. And
We won.
My Spurs
We
missed
won.
3 big free throws that would have won the game.
You heard what he said, Joey.
I said it.
He said, my Spurs.
Yeah.
Oh, but lo and behold, now we got this on tape. I'm not going to bring this to when the playoff time comes. You picked the Clippers. So are you still with the Clippers?
Yeah, I picked them.
Look at LeBron. LeBron said, I don't worry about nothing. LeBron said, I got this. The king of Akron. He coming. 7 in a row. 4-time champ.
I'll take Kawhi Leonard over LeBron right now.
Take him where?
I'll
To
just
Waffle
take
House?
I'll take him on undisputed.
Maestros?
Undisputed.
What
You
you
just
taking to?
lost again. You
crazy.
can't do this.
Most dominant
Crazy.
player in the NBA plays against the Rockets at home tonight.
LeBron?
8:30 Eastern.
LeBron
that's,
playing the Heat.
That was Kawhi Leonard.
Oh, you happy because LeBron and Kyrie didn't play y'all. Y'all get the doors blowed off y'all
I'm the
tonight.
petty one, by the way, right?
Get the doors blowed off
LeBron's not playing
y'all.
against
Y'all up
Miami,
there
but I'm
celebrating.
the petty
Y'all
one.
celebrating.
No mercy.
Boston Globe reported there is a, quote, mutual interest between wide receiver Brandon Marshall and the Super Bowl champion Patriots. Marshall was released by the Jets on Friday. He had a down year last season, only 3 touchdown catches. We're joined by Chris Carter, but Shannon, let me start with you. Do you think that Marshall is a good fit for the Patriots?
Be careful. Be very, very careful. Here's the question that Brandon's going to have to ask himself. Can I be me without being me? Everywhere Brandon's been, he's basically been the team spokesman. He's also been very, very outspoken. You're not going to do a whole lot of talking in New England. You're going to take a huge pay cut. That Showtime job that you do, Coach Belichick ain't about to have that. All those practices that you miss, Coach Belichick is not going to have that. Now, we saw a situation, Skip. His dad works for this network, Howie, Chris Long. He had never won a playoff game, had never been to the playoffs.
Yep.
He goes to the playoffs for the first time in his career.
Took the minimum salary.
No, he made
A little more than $1 million.
he got 2.3. They gave him 2.3.
Okay, all right, excuse me.
They gave him 2.3. Got him a Super Bowl ring.
Mm-hmm.
He says, I'm not going back. I want to go where I can be me.
And
Okay.
have some fun.
And it's not about money, he said. He just wants to go play. Play his way.
And I tell people this all the time. It's harder playing in New England than you think because everything they do is systems-wise. It's not about getting you numbers. See, Chris Long is saying, I could just go around this guy. But in their system, you play right down the guy.
Yeah.
You don't take a side.
Two gap.
You play right down the middle. So Brandon Marshall, you're going to take a pay cut. You're going to have to give that gig up on Tuesdays. And all that talking about what y'all need to do and what happened when you lose, that's not going to happen. We saw Chad. He went there. And we saw Randy went there year 10. Chad went year 11. This will be Brandon Marshall, I think, year 12. And we see Chad was never the same guy. Randy was good until he wanted more money. He wanted to buck the system. The system is in place. This is what you get paid. This is what you say. This is what you don't say. And this is how you do it. Is there a problem? Yeah, okay, you got to go. Is there a problem? No, okay. Brandon, I know you want to get to the playoffs. I know you want to win. But you better be careful what you're asking for.
Okay, if you're Belichick, would you do it?
Coach, oh yeah, because I think he's a big time receiver. He's better than Malcolm Floyd.
Yes.
Absolutely, he's better than Malcolm Floyd. He's better than Chris Hogan.
Malcolm Floyd wound up not dressing at the end of the year.
Yeah. So
Michael Floyd.
Malcolm Floyd.
Malcolm
Yes. Michael Floyd.
Yes.
He's better than Michael Floyd and Chris Hogan.
This is the thing. I've been knowing Brandon since he was a sophomore in college. He was at Central Florida. He's playing safety, all right? Playing under the tutelage of someone like Bill Belichick and George O'Leary.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because George O'Leary don't mess around.
Yep.
Now, they were switching Brandon from strong safety to wide receiver. I knew the wide receiver coach, so he sent him to South Florida. I spent time with him. So I've been knowing Brandon since he was 20 years old. You know, he's a Midwest guy from the Pittsburgh area and everything. So we've been very, very close. I've loved his career. He's made some very tremendous strides as far as mental health and everything.
Yes.
What Brandon is missing is playoffs. You know, that's something that's been absent from his career. So
He's never played a playoff game.
No.
Yeah.
No, not one game. So I have to take this, because you have to take extreme measures into your own hands. He's made a lot of money. He's got plenty of money in the bank. Now, do I want to try to play for the playoff, for the ring? Or do I want to try to go to another team? Because I know Brandon probably thinks he's a Hall of Fame receiver. But he's going to get caught into, man, you didn't been playing any playoff game? I don't care how many 1,000-yard seasons you didn't play in any playoff game? So I could understand why Brandon would do it. But when you go to New England, it's the ultimate compromise. It is the ultimate. And does Brandon have that in him at this point in his career? I think he does. I think it would be a great story. He's a better option at the X receiver than what they have. So he would improve the team. And just like Belichick, when he got Randy Moss, as soon as you sign with Belichick, you turn your ego in. And I believe that Brandon would do that. One thing Brandon has to realize, too, is right now put your broadcasting career on hold. You're going to be a broadcaster. All right? You have enough good tape out there. You work with the network. You work with us during the Super Bowl. You're going to be able to get a job. So don't get so consumed with what your next career is, making sure you finish off this next 2 or 3 years. So if it was me and I was in the same position as Brandon, I would go to New England. And the reason why is because that dude back there, number 12, said he wants to play another 2 or 3 years. And I know I'm going to be in the playoffs. He knows the AFC East very well. The only team he hadn't played, if he plays with New England, would be Buffalo. So you know who you're going against. So I think that would be motivation. It would be a great move for Brandon Marshall. It would speak to how he's not selfish as a wide receiver. He's buying into the team concept. That's what I would do. At this stage, with no playoff success, I would turn my career over to Bill Belichick for a year or two, especially if Marty Bennett is coming back. Now, if Marty doesn't come back, I don't know, because him and Marty, I believe, can get along.
They can't get along.
No, can get along.
Can, okay.
I believe they can get along because they're a little bit different, and they would be able to bounce things off each other, especially he would also be able to...
They butted heads in Chicago.
I understand that.
Okay.
I understand that. But this is part of growing up.
Okay.
It's called human development. Because just like he got into a battle with Sheldon Richardson in the locker room, he'd have to make that situation right with Marty before he even came over.
Yeah.
I love what both of you just said. Bottom line, I also know Brandon, not the way you know him, but I know him pretty well. This will be, if it happens, because I'm not sure Belichick is going to sign off on this, but if it happens, if Brady signs off on it, it'll be the greatest thing that ever happened to Brandon in his football life. And we have seen great growth from him off the field. He's had some deep, serious issues that he has overcome.
Yeah. He's come a long way.
And I'm proud of
from
him.
his Denver days, Skip, because that was a whole different, well, you know. We know.
And it's right on time. If Martellus does leave via free agency, I believe that Brandon could fill some of that role because they're not all that different because they split out Martellus a lot, and but Brandon's a big body, as you know, and he's a possession receiver now. At this maybe early in his career, he can run by some people, but he doesn't do that. But he on 3rd and 4, he can get inside and catch slants and
those 2 or 3 stop route, 10-yard stop routes that Tom Brady threw to the receivers in the Super Bowl when they jammed up the middle, that could have been Brandon Marshall just as easy.
Sure. So it's perfect for him. He does want to do this for a living, probably sooner than later.
Yes.
He's going to be 30. He's going to play at 33 next year. So what would you give him? A couple of good years, maybe? Especially if he goes here?
Yeah, as long as he don't try to come here, he'll be all right. We got 2 wideouts.
We
too
got
deep,
it.
Too deep, no sleep.
Yeah.
We don't need no other wideout.
I'm with you. I'm with you. But we don't need him here. We're fine.
Yeah.
But the point is that I thought Martellus was allowed to get away with being a little Martellus last year. A little bit. Like he would...
He gave him a little bit, yes.
He would spout off occasionally and nobody would say anything. I thought it was reasonably harmless. You can't attack inside. You can go outside. You know, you can take shots outside the locker room, but you can't look internally. But I believe Brandon is smart enough and now mature enough to know this would be heaven sent for him. This would change his legacy.
It would change the perception of him.
Right. And again, do I think he's going to be a Hall of Fame receiver? That's a little doubtful, but again, we'll see. But it certainly wouldn't hurt to put this icing on this cake.
Yeah, one thing, too, comparing him to Chad, Randy, these 3. Randy has the highest football IQ.
Yep.
Randy is almost like a football genius for a wide receiver. I mean, he's one of the few guys that I've seen been able to diagnose and understand. All right, I know Chad very well. Chad struggled in that system.
Right.
Now, Brandon is not Randy Moss from an X's and O's standpoint, but Brandon is a very, very smart football player, and he loves it and he lives it. So the X's and O's and working with Brady, just like 2 years ago, him and Fitzpatrick worked out that magic with the Jets. Yeah. I believe Brandon is a better adaptation because of his football mind into New England's system than some of the other guys that have tried it.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I've changed teams and you changed teams late in your career. When I got to the Ravens, when I left the Broncos in 2000 and went to the Ravens, the very first thing Ozzie said, I want you to be, I'm giving you this money because I want you to be Shannon. Now, I know who they told me Shannon was. I've seen you talk. Don't come here and be shy now. Be you. Can Brandon not be him? Because all this being the team spokesman, You're not the team spokesman. No. You're not going every single two. I don't care if it's your off day. Coach Belichick's not going to have that.
No.
Because he was granted privileges in Chicago. He was granted privileges for the Jets. Now, that's an easier situation because it's a commute right down, a couple of blocks. But Coach Belichick ain't going for that.
No. And would that not be, that would be a small price to pay for what you could get in return.
Absolutely.
Well, Gronk is an outlier, but they do allow some personality.
Where New
England.
Where the personality?
Gronk?
Besides Gronk. Now, Gronk is
I'm
a
saying
phenom.
he's an outlier.
Because he's a phenom.
He's allowed things that the rest of the team isn't allowed.
Yeah.
But Brandon, a lot of his outspokenness, too, is for a good cause. I mean, he's a champion for mental health, so he might allow it.
But that ain't selling in the football. That's great off the
He
field.
should check that ego and go play with number 12 and put the cap on his career. Even though Rob Parker doesn't think that the Patriots are making the playoffs.
That's true.
No mercy.
Last night, the Mavs blew out the Thunder. Russell Westbrook finished with 29 points in the loss. Before the game, Mark Cuban said the MVP race is a toss-up between James Harden and LeBron James. He was then asked, where does Westbrook rank, and said Russ is not in the race. We're joined once again by Chris Broussard. Chris, is Cuban right?
What did he mention?
Not Kawhi. And Kawhi is in the race.
I think he did throw him
race.
in. He said later, he said he's somewhere in there.
He's not right. He said that you have to win 50 games.
At least.
That's the standard, at least. Which I've used that statistic myself. That's going back to 1982. That was the last time somebody won the MVP without winning 82 games. That was Moses Malone.
Without winning 50.
Without winning 50. But before that, it happened 4 times. Moses Malone did it twice with fewer than 50 wins. Kareem won it with a losing record. So there are always exceptions. And the triple-double, I said it last week, we never thought we'd see it. Magic didn't do it. Michael didn't do it. Bird, LeBron. I can't deny if he averages a triple-double, not necessarily giving it to him for sure, but and they're on a 46-win pace, they're slumping. But if they're 47, 48, 49 wins.
43, 44.
I can't just give it to him automatically. Right. And if they keep slumping, like I've got Harden right now. And this is the thing. I've had Harden all year because I was questionable whether or not Westbrook would even average a triple-double. The last 3.5 months, 47 games, he's averaged 8.9 assists. So he's at 10 exactly right now. Like, I'm thinking he may fall just short. And I'm going to be honest, I would only give him the MVP award, assuming they have a good amount of wins, just because he'd average a triple-double. Because Harden's having a better year. Harden is having a better season. There's no question about it. You can argue Kawhi is having a better season. We can argue LeBron may be having a better season. But that triple-double is historic. And if he gets the number of wins, then I think I could give him the award. But he's definitely in the race. I mean, that's not even a question.
This might be the first time that I've agreed with Mark Cuban, and he and I have had some spats.
Not in the race.
No. He's in the race, but I don't think Mark Cuban and I, we've gone back and forth, Skip, on Twitter a few times, and I don't always agree with some of the things that he says. But hey, in this situation, if you're the 7th seed, you don't win 50 games. I can't. So how important are those triple doubles? We looked a couple of years ago in 2013. Russ missed 36 games. They went 25-11 without him.
They had Durant, though.
That's what I'm
big
saying.
Difference, though.
That's my point. They went 25-11 without him with Durant. So,
but take Durant off that team, what would they have gone? That's essentially what he's playing with now.
You would have to interject. Do you think Durant would have a better record with this team than Russ?
I do agree with you there.
Because here's the thing, though, Skip. The dude is shooting 42%. He's shooting 42%. Skip, the dude shot like 11 or 36. And we act like that. Oh, but did you see the triple-double? Dude, he shot 36 times. He shot 5 more times than it was like 9 times more than everybody else in the starting lineup. So I'm not impressed with the point.
A 6'3" guy's averaging double-digit rebounds. It's impossible.
Of all the things that he's doing,
it's wildly impressive.
That's what I'm most impressed by. That is what I'm not the scoring and not the assist. It's the fact that he's 4th in rebounding and he's 6'3". That's what I'm impressed with. But if he does not get out that 7th seed and he does not get the 50 wins,
He won't get 50. Yeah,
I can't. You can't. Not with James Harden doing what he's doing, and what Bron do. Bron do what he do.
I've gone at it with Mark Cuban on the air, and I would invite him to come back on the air, and we could do it again anytime soon that he would so choose to be in Los Angeles, California. We'd love to have him on Undisputed. But I wished last night that Russell Westbrook would have the opportunity to shut him up, because this is outrageous what he's been saying. And at least I'm going to give Mark this bit of credit. He laughed at the end of his soliloquy that he did anti-Russell, because he did it last year, you recall. And he said, and if I changed my mind, it would ruin all the fun for you guys, meaning the media. So he was kind of playing to the crowd a little bit. But all of a sudden, Dallas has heated up, and all of a sudden, Russell is struggling because he does not have Victor Oladipo. He has nobody to ride shotgun with him to take a little bit of pressure off. So at the top of the circle, it's like 1-on-3 every time. And he's trying to do it all by himself. And they played the heck out of Portland. I watched the whole game to the last drop. And they lost near the end of the game. It fell apart.
Ran out of gas?
And he ran out of gas, and then they had to play back-to-back at Phoenix, and Phoenix is starting to heat up because they just had a big win over Boston over a crazy Isaiah Thomas turnover. It was just, but it was a freaky. They scored 5 points in 5 seconds. So the point is, Phoenix is a little dangerous at home, so they lose that game, and they go to Dallas, and I'm thinking, come on, suck it up, take it up one more level. And they did for a half, and in the third quarter, Dallas just took the game over because Dallas is playing some pretty good basketball. And I keep saying, I never would have believed before the year started that you could cut Darren Williams and Andrew Bogut to get better, and they got better. Really? That's shocking.
Russell was 8 of 24 from the field last night. Skip, I just don't know how you would do that with the 7th seed.
Okay, he is still my MVP easily. I said last week he was running away with it. Well, again, we're going from week to week, but last week after the game he had, man, he was.
What if he doesn't average a triple-double, as Chris said?
He's going to average a
triple-double.
But
if he doesn't, like, I get the feeling, and I'm similar, that you just give it to him out of history. Because if he averaged, again, we never thought we'd see this. And as you said,
didn't win it.
6'3" point guard. That was different. I mean, Wilt averaged 50 and 26 that year and didn't win it. I don't know what the voting, crazy what they were thinking back then.
The players voted back
then.
Bill Russell won it.
Did the players vote?
Yes.
Okay.
But he is going to have to average a triple-double. Yeah. I believe he will. But he needs some help because they have to cash in for him occasionally, and he needs Oladipo to make a couple of threes and cash in.
Last night, the only big that showed up for him was Cantor. Adams gave him nothing.
I don't know what's happened to Stephen
He doesn't have a lot around him.
I
think there are only 2 players that could go to OKC and make them better. Like if you exchange them for Russ. Take Russ off, put them on LeBron and Durant. That's it.
Can we get through one segment without you mentioning LeBron?
No mercy.
Jerry Jones said he met with Tony Romo at the team's facility before the Super Bowl, and the two talked about all the possible scenarios for Romo's future. Jerry talked more about his quarterback and said the goal is a positive result for both parties. Let's take a listen.
It is implied that we will work in the best way we can for the mutual interest of Tony and the Cowboys. And that was just implied, and we didn't have to say it, sign it. We just, it's implied that we'll make that happen. That's important here. It's very important here. You got, when you've got relationships that don't have to have. Now, we've got to abide by every league rule. We can't have agreements without it being within the boundaries of the NFL. But when you've got a situation like we've got where we'll do the do-right rule. That's it. No, that is it.
And that's important.
Very, very. And we can do the do-right rule. We have that kind of relationship.
Skip, what do you make of this?
Skip, I love it. I love it. Look at Skip. I love it, Skip.
I thought Jerry said back on January 27th he was going to cool it with the Romo talk. Remember that one? No, it just escalates day after day after day after day. And I must admit, I cannot fathom how the do-right rule is going to work for both parties involved, Jerry and Romo here. I just don't get it. But I'm going to say it one more time. I still have this sinking feeling that Jerry Jones is going to keep Tony Romo on the Cowboy roster. I'm going to say it again. I would have auctioned off Tony Romo at the trade deadline on November 1st past.
Yep.
I'm going to say it again. I would have cleared about $5 million off the cap and cleared the decks for Dak Prescott, who was the present this year and will be the future of my Dallas Cowboys. But I believe that Jerry cannot fathom coming to grips with parting ways with a man that he views in Tony Romo like another son to him, as you have so correctly and adroitly pointed out on this show.
Did you hear him talking, Skip? Did you see him? This is hurting him, Skip.
Killing him. And he believes that Tony Romo is still fully capable of winning a Super Bowl. So I need somebody to explain to me how you're going to pull off the do-right rule, because there's one way to do the do-right, and that would be to go ahead and cut Tony Romo loose right here, right now, hand him a parting gift. Thank you for all you did for our Cowboys, Tony Romo. Now you have the capability of making your own deal elsewhere. And by that do-right rule, you would hope that Tony would do right by Dallas by not going to your arch-rival Redskins. And by the way, when that story broke, or the speculation broke on late Thursday afternoon, I immediately tweeted, I just laughed at it, because there's no way Jerry's ever going to trade Tony Romo to the arch-rival Redskins. It's not going to happen. Stop it. But on the other hand, if Jerry wants to do right by the Cowboys, then he would try to hype Tony's trade value now by talking him up. He could win a Super Bowl, even though we all know he's an incredibly fragile, going on 37-year-old quarterback, fragile. And the point is that if Jerry wanted to, remember, Tony doesn't have a no-trade. He's Jerry's property. Right. You know, Jerry can do whatever he wants with him for the next couple of years. So
have there ever been a quarterback? Have there ever been a player in the NFL, Skip, that you know of that's had a no-trade clause?
No, I don't know one, unless did any of the bigger, does Brady have one? I don't know. They're not going to trade Tom Brady. But,
no, I'm just saying, I know Elway, I know none of the other, the big name Marinos, and I don't think any of them had it.
So the point is, if Jerry wants to do right by Cowboy Nation, then he would trade Tony to maybe the Jets for a mid-round pick, or Buffalo, or even Cleveland. Just go ahead. That would help Dallas, right? Yeah. Because if Jerry is truly threatened, as I believe he is, down to the depth of his heart, that he's threatened that Tony's going to go somewhere and come back to haunt him by winning a Super Bowl, at least if you trade him to Buffalo, you probably won't have that happen anytime soon until Tony's too old to do it, right? Right. So that would be doing right by the Cowboys. So I don't get how this is going to work out for anybody unless Jerry does right by Romo by reinserting him into the starting lineup of the Dallas Cowboys.
No, Skip, this is Jerry creating more drama, and he is wrestling with this decision because he says this is about relationship. This is more than owner-player. This is a very unique set of circumstances that we're dealing with here. Skip, before this came into existence, a contract was a meeting of the minds. But somehow along the way, the minds that we thought met in the beginning, somebody started to renege, Joy. And then they said, you know what? Put it on this. Well, they can't put it on that. But the meeting of the minds that Jerry and Tony have, Jerry is saying, Tony, I'm going to release you. I'm going to do it sooner than later. All I ask is that you not go sign with the Redskins. He probably told him, said, now, Tony, I've been good by you. I've done right by you. I made you rich, made you more rich than you ever thought you'd be now. Do right by me.
Especially as an undrafted free agent.
So do right by me. This is the situation that Green Bay did not want Brett Favre. See, Brett said, just release me. They knew Brett wanted to thumb the nose up and give it to him. He was going right to Minnesota. So when they traded it to the Jets, they put in the contract, if you trade him to Minnesota, you would have to give us your next 3 first-round draft picks. So what did Brett do? Brett said, I'm retired, I'm done. So once he retired, they go ahead and release him and get him off their books. Now he's a free agent. He can go sign with Minnesota. This is all this is about. Jerry's trying to create some hype. I really can keep him. And everybody's like, man, Jerry's going to keep Tony. We need to give him a 3rd or 4th round pick. Jerry is not keeping Tony. What he means by doing right, he knows Tony is not going to accept a backup role. He did that last year because he started the season hurt. And maybe Tony came to the realization, I don't want to upset this. I don't want to come off as being selfish. I need to be a team player. Let me fall in line. But Jerry and Tony know he can't bring him back and have him be a backup. And although Jerry can fit them both up under the cap, you're not having a $24 million cap hit for a backup quarterback. So the best thing Jerry can do is release him sooner than later and just, hey, Tony, give me, 2012, 2013, I gave you $108 million with 55 guaranteed. I've made you rich beyond your wildest dreams. You see that big old pool and that big old house that you got in Plano or wherever it is, Frisco? That's because of Papa Jones. Do right by me, and Tony will do right by it.
I hope you are right about all the above. I do not trust it one bit because, to me, if you're saying release him before the free agency starts, which is Thursday, this coming Thursday, well then Jerry Jones is going to have to live with his potential worst nightmare, which is Tony will choose, to me, this is just my educated guess, he'll choose Denver or he will choose Houston, depending on which would make the best new deal. He would have to tear up his contract and start over. So those two teams, especially Denver, to me, has Super Bowl potential. Houston has a Super Bowl roster, and Romo might just be the jump start that they need at that position. So are you sure that Jerry, is that doing right by Romo, letting him pick a contending Super Bowl team?
As long as I don't have to see him until the Super Bowl, as long as I don't run the risk of him knocking me out of the playoffs.
At least it's AFC.
Right, at least worry about him knocking me out of the playoffs. Now, I know what the Broncos need. The Broncos needs O-line. Their first priority, Skip, is probably going to be O-line and D-line. Now, if they get that shored up, if they go out there and get one of these free agent left tackles or guards, Tony Romo will be in play probably around the 10th or the 11th. If they sign one of these offensive linemen, the first date, it starts March 9th. So if they get something done then, Tony Romo becomes a real possibility because they understand they got to get protection up the middle if they're going to bring Tony Romo in. Because, look, dude fragile. He's like ice hitting the floor. You already know it's going to shatter. So you got to try to keep him upright as much as possible. But, Skip, I believe Tony Romo would do right because I know in the Broncos, they released me, and I went to the AFC, but I wouldn't have gone to the Chiefs. I wouldn't have gone to the Raiders or San Diego, even though the Raiders had Tony Gonzalez. That would have been the furthest thing from my mind. I don't want to play them twice a year. I don't have a problem knocking them out of the playoffs, but I get it. And Jerry is saying he knows it can't be binding because it's not on this, but it is a meeting of the minds. We got a handshake. We got a handshake agreement that this is what I'm going to do for you. This is what you're going to do for me.
So you think all this Jerry on Romo talk, just relentless day after day after day, all adds up to he's just trying to hype up Tony's value so that somebody will mistakenly give up a mid-round draft pick by Thursday?
Yeah, that's what he's trying. Because here's the thing, Skip. Everybody already knows what Tony is. They've looked at the 2014 season, but they've also seen that he's missed 27 of a possible 32 starts over the last 2 years. They know what his body of work is. So Jerry can't sell him anymore. Because here's the thing, Skip, it's not what you pay, it's not what you ask for something, it's what someone's willing to pay for it. You can ask $30 million for a home, but if all you get an offer for $10 to $15 million, that's what the home is worth. If you're worth what someone will pay you, no one's going to give Jerry Jones a third-round pick for Tony Romo after he's missed 27 of a possible 32 starts. That's not going to happen, and he's about to be 37. And last I heard, you don't get healthier as you get older. So I believe they have a handshake deal. Remember the handshake deal that Mr. Kraft thought he had with Roger Goodell? That I'm going to accept these. I'm going to accept this now. But you got to do right by it. I don't know what happened, but it just seems like the way Mr. Kraft was talking, they had a handshake deal, a meeting of the minds that I'm going to accept these penalties. You go light or do nothing to my boy Tom. Roger said we had no such of a deal.
That's the problem with handshake.
Okay, bottom line from me. I do not believe Jerry's trying to sell a used car to the rest of the NFL right now. I think he's just been speaking his heart of hearts on Tony Romo.
Oh, it's hard Skip, it's hard for him to part ways because, like he said, he's formed a unique personal relationship. And normally the general rule of thumb is you never become attached to something that you can't walk away from. And they're talking about things that are tangible, a car, a watch, a home. But when you forge relationships, it gets harder and harder the longer you stay with this thing. So that's why it's so hard for Jerry to part ways with him because Tony has been an integral part of what they've done in Dallas. And he said, I can win a Super Bowl with Tony Romo. It would be very disappointing if I didn't win one in the Tony Romo era. So this is hard for him. You watch him, that's sincere.
Do you know how it would rip Jerry's heart out to watch Tony win a Super Bowl, even for Denver or Houston?
Man.
Well, to your question earlier, Drew Brees had a no-trade clause last year.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
No mercy.
This is the Skip and Shannon Undisputed podcast, where we're delivering you an unscripted, unfiltered, undisputed version of the biggest topics of the day's show. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, like us on Facebook at Undisputed on FS1, follow on Twitter at Undisputed, and catch us at 9:30 a.m. Eastern, 6:30 Pacific, Monday through Friday on FS1. You can find us on channel 219 on DirecTV, 150 on Dish. Thanks for listening, everybody. I'm your host, Joy Taylor. We'll be here all week with fun debates for you. On Tuesday, we're joined by our friends Chris Carter and Rob Parker, and we'll also hear from former Suns general manager Lance Blanks. We'll talk to you then.
Fox Sports 1 of 1.